here we are again with hands. Now, hands are where people find it pretty challenging. It can be challenging because there is a lot of detail and there's joints, and you've got to think about how the fingers bend and how the skin folds. And to simplify this, I use sausage fingers and sausage thumbs. As you can see here, I'm just doing a very simple sausage-like shape. I find this really easy, especially when I was younger. I had a lot of troubles with drawing hands myself, and I'd always find that the hand didn't look quite like anything when I finished. So I started to draw this circle shape and then build the fingers out from there. At least then I'm not losing the structure. If you look at your own palm, although it's not a perfect circle, there is a space there that no matter how you clench or open up your hand, that shape is relatively the same no matter what you're doing. So it's fair to say that if you draw a circle, it's going to keep that structure the whole way through the process of drawing your hand. So start with a circle and then build your fingers off that. So as you can see here, I've got this opened palm here and the sausage fingers coming off. And then I can get a bit pedantic about fixing up lines. I don't want to be too neat in showing you these hands. So I'm going to move on and draw another pose, if you like. I'm going to have the wrist coming down on this one, using that same size circle for the palm, but this time we're going to use the back of the hand. So we're going to have the fingers around the side that you can't see, and we're going to be clenching. So it's going to be like kind of like a punch hand, and meaning that the fingers are clenched up and they're quite tight. If you've noticed that there is only 3 fingers and 1 thumb, I'm not sure where this started, but I like to draw 3 fingers. Some people like to draw 4 fingers, but I find that it looks a lot cuter with the 4 fingers. With 3 fingers. With 4 fingers, it can look a bit crowded in that space, and I like to keep them as cute as possible. Sometimes I'll even draw 2 fingers with 1 thumb. And actually, I'd go as far as saying that sometimes I just draw a finger or a thumb with 1 giant finger, and just leave the rest up to the imagination. So I finished off that clenched fist there. Now I'm working on a pointing finger, a pointing hand. We've got our finger up here, and then this thumb is kind of folding over, and it will be kind of trapping the 2 other fingers underneath the thumb. It's really about looking at your own hand and just observing how it sits, and then maybe thickening the fingers so that they're chubby like sausages, and then building it up from there. It really is about trial and error. You've got to keep practicing and keep looking at maybe how other people draw as well. If you've seen if you've seen an artist that draws hands really well, take note of how they draw and just take some cues from that. You're always going to be learning in this type of media. I'm always learning, even today. Like, I don't think I'll ever stop learning how to draw, especially hands. Okay, so for this one over here, we're going to have maybe a thumbs up with the back of the hand facing us again. So we'll get our 3 fingers coming off that circle again. And I'm just feeling my way through it. So here's the thumb sticking up like that. And if you're sticking to that sausage-shaped idea, you'll notice how there's the thickest part of the sausage is in the middle, and you've got your 2 ends which are thinner. And you notice how that thumb starts from thin, where it's connected to the hand, like the circle part, and then it goes thicker and then back to thin again. Using the sausage shapes really does help with that type of effect, or that type of shape. It really suits fingers and thumbs. So there we go, we've got our thumbs up. And of course you could keep refining these. And yeah, you could be here for quite some time, making sure everything's good. Okay, so for these three here, let's start with a maybe another type of pointing gesture. So the other pointing hand we did was with the fingers exposed. Maybe with this one we'll have the back of the hand exposed this time. So I'm using that same circle again, the sausage finger coming off, and really just building out those other fingers. They're more or less fingers that have been chopped off, as you can see, if you can imagine those fingers coming out here. But obviously they're folded back under. And there we go, that's a pretty easy one, that one. So how about we do our next one, maybe like a peace sign, or some sort of like a, you know, holding up the number 2, holding up 2 fingers. So we've got our thumb, and our thumb's holding down the pinky finger, and we've got our 2 fingers sticking up here, and they're quite parted. Again, sausage shapes, and we've got the bottom of your palm there, and then the wrist coming out. Let me just remove all the guides. Okay, so for this final hand, I'm thinking of something a little bit more simplistic. Maybe like a backhand type of hand, where it's kind of like the kind of hand you'd kind of slap someone with, the back of your hand. So, okay, so we've got our index finger, and then our middle finger coming up. And it's on a slight turn. If you notice, the index finger is the finger closest to the front, and then you got your middle, and then your pinky that kind of hides behind that middle finger. And I'm squaring off the bottom of that, the back of the hand there, and then the thumb comes out the side, obviously. And the squaring off down the bottom gives it more of a solid look, more strength. If you curved it off, it'd have like a different kind of effect. But having that kind of squarish, flat bottom where the wrist is. But there we go. There's some hands, and I'm going to quickly run through. I might speed this part up, run through the same type of hands, but more bubbly and more bulgy, if that's a word, bulgy. And just to show you that just by fattening the hands up, using very similar kind of hand gestures, it can really change the cuteness. I think these are probably a little bit more cute. So I'm going to slightly speed this up, because you've just watched this first part, and this will just be kind of like the same thing again, but with the fatter hands. Now you'll notice when drawing something a little bit fatter, there's a lot more smooth flowing lines, and this is really what I like about drawing cute things. There's a lot more smooth lines and a lot less stop-start lines, if that makes any sense. Everything kind of flows together. These ones here, if you look at the hand that I was drawing now, it's everything kind of, there's a big flowing line at the bottom of the wrist, moving up into the pinky finger, and then the pointing finger moves right out, and it flows back around into the thumb. So there's a lot more, just general flow. There's a lot more flow when everything's a little bit more cuter. So just keep that in mind when drawing your cute hands, that just try to add a little bit more curve and flow to your, I suppose, just for the entire cartoon or the character that you're drawing. Just a lot more smooth lines really does help with the cuteness.